What if you could increase your profit at least 10 times and at the same time reduce the cost? If this all sounds fantasy to you, then my friend, I suggest you get some popcorn. Because this video will change how you think and use generative AI like ChatGPT forever. So let's start with the problem statement. I'm pretty sure you have seen this kind of image before as well, where if something is good and cheap, then it is definitely very slow. You cannot implement that right away. If something is good and fast, then it has to be expensive because there's a lot of manpower required. And if something is cheap and fast, then of course the quality would be not good. And if you want to have something which is good, cheap and fast, well, that doesn't exist yet. But for your business, all of that is going to change because we're going to use ChatGPT in an extremely innovative way. And once you understand this concept, I'm pretty sure that you can use this and extend this use case in different parts of your business as well. So in today's video, we're going to learn how you can use ChatGPT for sentiment analysis of the product reviews. For example, if you're in a retail business like Amazon, Flipkart, you are selling, handmade goods, something like this. If you're selling watches, clothes, anything, and where people provide feedbacks, you do not need any fancy machine learning model to analyze the sentiment and a lot of other useful facts from that product review. So without further ado, let's get started and see how you can do this using ChatGPT. So before we start, let's try and understand what is the traditional approach of designing a sentiment analysis model. So as you can see, you need a lot of data points. So if not billions, at least millions of data points to train your model. It takes anywhere around 6 to 12 months to train the model, iterate on the model, test the model, and then deploy it to your pipeline. And if you're good, if you're really good, you might get an accuracy of 70 to 80%. And of course, it is very high in cost. So you need a team of engineers in terms of doing the machine learning. Then you need a pipeline, you need data engineers, you need ops engineer, a lot of different people in the team to get all of this up and running. What I'm presenting you today is using ChatGPT approach, where you do not need any data point to do a sentiment analysis. You can do this in weeks, if not days. Accuracy for me at least is at more than 95%, so it's awesome. And it is the lowest cost possible. I can't believe that you can do sentiment analysis on your product reviews with such a low cost. Okay, so with that, now let's jump to ChatGPT and see how this works. Okay. So I'm on a ChatGPT window, and here's what I'm going to ask ChatGPT to do. So what I'm asking ChatGPT to do, something like this: identify the sentiment from the review text below, wrapped in ###. Not required, but try to do this so that you can differentiate between what user has given and what command you have given. Your response should be either positive or negative. And my product review is, I loved it. It was easy to install and arrived super quickly. Okay. And ChatGPT, of course, says that this is a positive review on your product. Let's try a negative one. I don't like it. It was easy to install, but arrived very late. So what we are saying is, I'm trying to confuse ChatGPT. So I'm saying that it is easy to install, but it arrived very late. Therefore, I don't like it. So there's a mix of positive and negative. But overall, I'm saying this is a negative review. So let's see what ChatGPT thinks. it says it's negative. Now let's take it one step further. So I'm going to say is something like this. I'll also copy this. The reason I'm giving ChatGPT an extensive way of output, because obviously you're not going to copy paste all of your product reviews into ChatGPT, while you would like to automate that, right? And we will see how you can do this in a moment using a programming language, but I just want to reinforce the concept here. And that's why we want to have a valid JSON output from ChatGPT. So if I do this, now I get a valid JSON object which says results as negative. And now you can kind of understand from here that you could actually take this JSON object, parse it, and then use it in your application whichever way you like. You're going to see that in a moment. So I have designed a front end which looks like this. So you can give some system message, you can give some user message, you can provide your product review. And once you provide all of this, you click on send request button, and this will take all this data, send it to OpenAI, and we will get a response from ChatGPT, all programmatically. And from here, you should understand that once you receive that data, you could use to probably save it in your database, use another pipeline to invoke something, send a message or whatever you like, okay? So let's see this in action. So here's what I'm doing. So I'm using Bootstrap for styling. If you don't know how Bootstrap works, here's a video that I created and I highly recommend that you go and watch it. But if you don't care about styling, then you don't have to. So another housekeeping thing, I'm using Next.js project to facilitate, or let's say sending or receiving requests. You don't necessarily have to learn this, but if you really want to, here's a playlist that I created, go and watch it. But that probably is not necessary. You could go and do or develop this API in Python as well, so that doesn't matter. Lastly, I have created another video which is here, which talks about the basics of how you can send and receive data from OpenAI. So I'm not going to talk about that in this video. If you're interested to learn that, again, this is a video you should watch. With all that out of the window, now let's go and program this. So what I'm doing is this. When I click on this button, which is send request button, which you see here, it calls a function which is send request. So let's open that. In this function, what I'm saying is I'm setting set busy variable to true. Then I'm creating messages list, and inside that message I have 3 different rows. So one is system, another is user, and another is again user. Think of it as chats that we send to the ChatGPT. So the first chat is from system, next chat is from the user, which I am sending or you will be sending, and another chat is again user, but this is a product review. And then I'm just logging the message, and I'm also logging this AI input variable so that we can see what we are designing, and then we'll take it from there. Again, all of these 3 variables are state variables in Next.js. You don't need to know this, but again, if you want to learn front end, then here they are. Additionally, I've also created an interface which basically defines the data type for this variable. And then I've created an empty AI input which says system message is nothing, user message is nothing, and product review is nothing. Okay, so if I go here, click on send request, you see we get loading, and then we get all of this. This loading is basically simulated here for 3 seconds. I'm going to remove this, but for the sake of completion, I kept it here so that we can see how the API works. So we also logged messages, so let's have a look. So messages look something like this. I have 3 different items in the message. First one is role, which says system, which is nothing. user is nothing, and then user is nothing. So let's see if we can fill the data. So I'm gonna say you are helping me in sentiment analysis. User message is identify the sentiment from the review text below. And the review text would be, let me copy something. So let's say this. So this is my product review, okay? As I said, I'm doing it in message boxes. You probably don't have to do this if you're generating an API, but to understand the concept, I think this is the easiest way to understand. So if I click on send request, you see that I got messages, and this messages is what I'm gonna send to OpenAI's API. So I'm saying role is system, and the content is you are helping me in sentiment analysis. Then I'm sending another chat to user, identify the sentiment of the review, blah, blah, blah. And then the actual product review is this, I don't like it, it is here. And this is how my AI inputs look, which is basically whatever I type here. I'm gonna clear this, go back to our code. Let me remove this as well. So one thing that you will notice is all I'm doing is I'm just taking AI input variable and getting this system message out of it, user message out of it, and product review out of it. Lovely. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send this request to OpenAI. And this is how I send this data to OpenAI. I have a URL for chat completion. I have a key which is defined in my environment variable. I extract messages from the body. I send a payload to the OpenAI, and I basically extract the data and send it to the front end. That's all I'm doing. Again, all of this has been explained in the video which I mentioned. All the details are in the description, so I highly recommend if you don't understand what's going on here, go and watch that. Beautiful. So I'm going to close these settings, and let me copy paste something, and then I'll walk you through. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set the AI message variable to nothing. Then I will send a request to my URL, which is basically this API OpenAI test, which is here, which I just showed you. Okay. Once I get a response, I'm going to convert that to JSON. Comes here. I will also log the data, so whatever OpenAI sent us, I'm going to just log it here. Then I will fetch the message that was sent by OpenAI, like this. We're going to see this in a moment, that how we can parse the data. And then I'm going to say something like this. And then we don't need this. And let's put it in here because you never know, it might fail. So what I'm saying is create a message which will look something like this. We will see in a moment. Reset my AI message. Send a request to OpenAI via my server-side code. Extract the data out of it, log it. Put it outside because this was complaining. So once we receive the data, we get this. What I'm saying is parse the message as a JSON object, set it to AI message, and also log it, the type of message and the message as well, so that we can see what's going on. Okay, so with all of that out of the window, let's go back to our front end, clear everything. I'm gonna say identify the sentiment from the review text below. Your response should be a valid JavaScript object with key as result and value as either positive or negative. Below is an example of the response for your reference. And then let's send some sort of product review. So I'm going to say I'm just gonna go here and copy this, paste it here, moment of truth, fingers crossed, click on send, and the result is negative. Beautiful, right? So in just one click, I built a sentiment analysis machine, which is extremely cheap, extremely fast, extremely powerful. Let's see a couple of things that we did. Number one is messages. So this is a message list that I prepared to send to OpenAI. So system was nothing, user, whatever I gave here, and then my product review is coming here. This is what I received from ChatGPT. So, and this is an important metrics usage, which says completion token is 5, prompt token is 77, total token is 82. And based on these usage, OpenAI will send you a bill at the end of the month. So as you can see, 82 tokens is almost nothing, because for 1000 tokens, OpenAI charge you $0.0001. Now let's take it to another level. Imagine you want to do following. Based on the review comment provided by your user, you want to do the following. You want to analyze the sentiment. If it's negative, you also want to send an automated email to the user saying that, hey, we are sorry that you received a faulty product, or whatever you want to say there. Third, you also want to initiate, or let's say save something to your database so that your product team, your supply chain team, your pricing team can review this particular product based on the reviews given by the customers. Let's see how we can do that. So here's a prompt that I want to send to ChatGPT. I'm going to say, identify the following items from the review text. Sentiment, positive or negative. Is reviewer expressing anger, true or false? Item purchased by the reviewer, company that made the item. One-line feedback for each of the departments: marketing, sales, product, pricing, shipping. And if information isn't present, use unknown. The format of your response should follow the following JSON object. The sentiment should be a string, anger is true or false, item string, brand string, feedback should be something like this. And make sure the response is as short as possible. So I'm going to copy this, bring it to our application, paste it here, and I'm going to copy a better product review than what you see right now. Okay, so I've got a good product review. Now let's see how ChatGPT responds to this. Send a request. It takes some time for it to process and return you. Although we are printing here, I'm gonna look at here because I have an object. So anger is false, brand is Lumina, item is lamp, sentiment is positive. Let's see if it has some feedback. For marketing, it cannot infer any feedback. For pricing, it says too high for the price point. And for product, it's saying easy to put together. And shipping, it was fast. If that does not blow your mind, I don't know what will. Because if you have ever tried to design a machine learning model or an AI model to do sentiment analysis, to find the brand name from the item name, find a feedback for each department, it will take you years to do that. Forget about perfection. Okay, I'm going to show you one more thing. So what I'll do is, I'll go to Amazon.com. I just picked a random product. I'm going to copy the product review here, and let's see what do we get. Okay, sentiment positive, item chocolate Horlicks, not angry, product needs improvement with more teaspoons. Can you see how versatile this is? Now there's one more thing. What you can do is you can keep improving on this by providing it more context. For example, I could say title was this, review description was something like this. Now let's see how this sentiment changes. If it changes from positive, Now it becomes negative because, of course, once you start factoring the title, of course, the review is negative. So you see how powerful this is. Alright, now let's have a quick recap what we have done. Using ChatGPT approach, you can do sentiment analysis, and of course, you're going to reduce your shipping time, you can improve your pricing, you can improve your product catalog. You do not need so many engineers to do all these machine learning algorithms. You don't need to maintain a data pipeline. You don't need to reiterate on the models that you're building. It's just fantastic. But there are a couple of things that I want to point out. But of course, using ChatGPT is not all beautiful. It's not all rainbows. It's not always a sunshine. And there are three main problems that I normally see when I work with my clients. So those are listed in the bottom three on the screen, and it's mostly around data privacy. So what if I have a use case that I want to use ChatGPT, but I don't want to send my proprietary data, my confidential data, to OpenAI's ChatGPT? Well, if that is the case, well, the first thing is, if you're running your sentiment analysis or any of these kind of analysis on a public data, then I think you should use ChatGPT because it's extremely cheap. But if you're working on proprietary data, if you're having data privacy issue, the step one would be that you download a large language model provided by, for example, Facebook or Microsoft. All of these are free to use, but these are huge models, like tens of GBs of pure, raw, large language model. And once you have these models are basically GPT, so generative pre-trained transformers. Once you have these GPT LLM models, train it to become Chat GPT. So now it becomes Chat GPT. It can answer a question with an answer. Once you have that, now you can deploy that Chat GPT that you created within your company, host it in your internal server. Now, instead of sending requests to OpenAI, you can send the request to your own internal server and get exact same response that I showed you here. Awesome, right? So if you want to learn how to do that, if you want to learn how the pipeline should work, if you want to learn, I want to automate this whenever a user gives me a negative review and things like that, let me know in comment section and I will try to produce that video for you. Also, let me know in the comment section what other use cases you could find by using this ChatGPT approach. Alright, that's all for this video. I'm going to put all the details in the description so that you can go and check it out. And lastly, if you learned something, please do not forget to like the video, comment on the video, your thoughts, your challenges, and do not forget to share this video with someone you think might benefit from this. When you do that, it is a zero cost effort from your side, but it helps me, it helps the channel. With that, GKV signing off. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.